On Tuesday, January 29, 2019, the Senate Intelligence Committee held a hearing with the intelligence agencies to consider worldwide threat to the United States. This hearing is worth a quick review, whether you missed it or not. Highlights in this review will be that Director Dan Coats of the National Intelligence Agency appeared to acknowledge and support an international world order. We all know that any world order runs counter to the United States Constitution. Also, the committee members and the agency director have been spending a lot of time discussing how social media may have influenced the 2016 presidential election and the 2018 midterm election. My personal opinion is that the agency wants to convince everybody that the reason people don't like Hillary and the Democrats is because Russia posted and tweeted on Facebook and Twitter. Now, if you pay close attention to the committee and the agency, you can clearly see that one of the things they want you to believe is that Russia posts and tweets on Facebook and Twitter influenced American people. They want you to believe that those posts and tweets influence you to not vote for Hillary Clinton and instead vote for Donald Trump. Now, the Senate Intelligence Committee is still talking about Russia interference in our election. One good thing about this hearing is that people know part of it is a bunch of crap. The president obviously don't believe what they're finding in their reports. Remember when the media reported that 17 intelligence agencies stated that Russia interfered with our election? We found out that that was not true. Remember when the intelligence agency reported that there was weapons of mass destruction in Iraq? We found out that that was not true. Remember when the intelligence agency reported that Building 7 collapsed from the heat of the plane hitting the other two towers? Well, we know that was not true. We could go on for a very long time listing all of the things the intelligence agencies had gotten wrong. Why would anyone not question these agencies? Why would anyone take everything they said at face value when they'd gotten so many things wrong? Now, in the Senate hearing, after so much time has passed and so much information has become available, there's still a lot of concern and discussion about foreign actors using social media to affect the 2016 and 2018 election. Just listen to an example of the committee members and the agencies talking about how a few $1,000s on Facebook and Twitter influenced the American people. At the same time, ignoring the billions of dollars, the $1 billion spent on corporate media and late night TV propaganda.
I don't need to remind anyone in the room, when this country's democracy was attacked in 2016, it wasn't with a bomb or a missile or a plane. It was with social media accounts that any 13-year-old can establish for free. The enemies of this country aren't going to take us on a straight-up fight because they know they'd lose.
First, Russia's use of social media to amplify divisions in our society and to influence our democratic process. This is an area that I know was highlighted in our worldwide threat hearing last year, and the concern that we and the IC that Russia would continue its malign activities to try to influence the 2018 elections.
The chair would recognize himself for 5 minutes. And General Nakasone, this is probably directed at you. This committee requested independent third-party researchers to produce 2 reports that comprehensively detailed the leveraging of U.S. social media companies by Russia-based actors to conduct a disinformation and influence campaign in the 2016 election. Without speaking to sources and methods under your current authorities, would the IC be able to conduct the same analysis and produce comparable finished intelligence?
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for the question, and thank you for your recognition of Chief Petty Officer Kent. In terms of the work that was done by the two organizations that the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence had asked, they looked at an internal study with a number of social media groups, which is something, as you know, is outside our authorities, but was very, very effective for us. As we prepared for the 2018 midterm, we took a very, very close look at the information that was provided there. We understood our adversary very well, and we understood where their vulnerabilities also lie.
Good. This to Director Wray and to yourself, General Nakasone, is it the IC's assessment that this country's adversaries continue to use U.S. social media platforms as a vehicle for weaponizing disinformation and spreading foreign influence in the United States? Director Wray?
Yes, that's certainly the FBI's assessment. Not only have the Russians continued to do it in 2018, but we've seen indication that they're continuing to adapt their model and that other countries are taking a very interested eye in that approach.
General Nakasone?
It is certainly NSA's assessment as well, Mr. Chairman.
An area of increasing concern for this committee is how the production, storage, and usage of data is a national security issue. In 2013, IBM.
It's not really rational for the intelligence agencies in the committee to put so much weight on Facebook posts and Twitter tweets influencing the American people. It's simply just not rational. The citizens know Facebook posts and Twitter tweets didn't turn them against Hillary and the Democrats. They know what turned them against Hillary and the Democrats were her criminal acts and the Democrat support of the New World Order instead of our Constitution. That's what turned the people against Hillary and the Democrats, not Facebook posts and Twitter tweets. Now, listen to the ultimate example of the billion-dollar corporate media propaganda that the committee members and the agency head are completely ignoring. Anybody remember MSNBC, Steve Kornacki? I think this is the ultimate disinformation.
Polls putting Hillary Clinton ahead there. It is possible Hillary Clinton could end up flipping North Carolina, making it a blue state. Trump's problem, though, gets a lot worse than North Carolina. Look at this. Georgia, new poll, 7-point lead here for Hillary Clinton. Not the first poll that we've seen putting her ahead in Georgia. This is a state that last went Democratic back in 1992. Again, Donald Trump could still take Georgia, but Hillary Clinton certainly has a chance to flip Georgia. All this talk about Trump turning blue states red, we could see the opposite happening with Hillary Clinton having a double-digit lead nationally. But it's not just North Carolina. It's not just Georgia. Look at this. This came out just about 2 hours ago. Kansas. One of the most Republican states in the country. The margin here was more than 20 points for Mitt Romney in 2012. Donald Trump leading by just 5 points in Kansas. Remember, there's a lot of big suburbs right outside of Kansas City on the Kansas side. You got suburban, moderate, professional, college degree Republicans there. That's the type of Republican Trump has been struggling with. And when Trump is struggling with that type of Republican, you're going to see this type of result. He could be vulnerable in a state like Kansas. It's still a real stretch to say Hillary Clinton's going to win it, but there is the possibility there that Donald Trump is going to have to fight for it. So, again, you would take that and say, not a sure thing for Trump, just like we've seen polls that say Utah is not a sure thing for Trump, just like we've seen polls that say Arizona, not a sure thing for Trump. In fact, there have been polls putting Hillary Clinton ahead there. When you get to a 10-point race nationally, which you have 4 polls in the last week saying Donald Trump could have to worry about Indiana, he could have to worry about Missouri if this holds up. And it's a big if. Again, Donald Trump could close the gap, could be a different story in a month. But if Hillary Clinton could sustain the kind of lead she has leaped out into this race, you could see other states that suddenly get crazy, states you wouldn't have even imagined, like a South Carolina, even a Texas. They could at least become competitive. And what it would mean doesn't mean Hillary Clinton's going to win all of these. It means we could have more competitive states than we ever imagined. That's the way the lay of the land right now at this low moment for Donald Trump.
As this video turned out to be, it's the ultimate attempt to weaponize disinformation. The network knew all Kornacki assertion was not true, but they knew they wouldn't suffer any scrutiny for this disinformation. The committee and the agencies are obsessed with a few $1,000s spent on Facebook and Twitter, but ignore Konecki weaponizing this information, as they do others. At this late date after 2016 and the 2018 election, with testimony and public information being available to everyone, the Intelligence Committee members and the agency head still don't know that Hillary sold uranium to Russia and had Bob Mueller personally to deliver samples of it. They still don't know there was no collusion by the president and continue to investigate him while ignoring Hillary and the deep state. You have to ask yourself, is the Intelligence Committee and agencies working for the people? Do they have access to testimony and public information describing in detail all the criminal and treasonous behavior by Hillary and the deep state? The committee and the agencies are not incompetent. They're simply not working for the people of the United States. Russia's use of Facebook and Twitter is not a reason for the intelligence agencies to spy on the president and all the citizens of the United States. We need to acknowledge that patriots and honorable peoples work in these committees and in these agencies. But at the same time, we need to know that this committee and these agencies are acting as enemies of the peoples. President Trump has warned us about the fake media being an enemy of the peoples. He's also beginning to warn us that the Federal Reserve is the enemy of the people. The president has not publicly stated that these intelligence agencies are enemies of the people, but we know that President Trump don't trust their findings and don't trust their reports. Dan Coats, Director of Intelligence Agency, accept an international world order. He talked about an international world order as if it's a good thing. But patriots know that any world order by any name is in conflict with our Constitution. Listen to Dan Coats acknowledge and accept a new world order.
Methodological and long-term efforts to capitalize on its past decade of a growing economy and to match or overtake our superior global capabilities. Russia's approach relies on misdirection and obfuscation as it seeks to destabilize and diminish our standing in the world. Even as Russia faces a weakening economy, the Kremlin is stepping up its campaign to divide Western political and security institutions and undermine the post-World War II international order. We expect Russia will continue to wage its information war against democracies and to use social media to attempt to divide our societies. Russia's attack against Ukrainian NATO, methodological.
Well, we shouldn't be native about our Director of Intelligence suggesting that we should adhere to an international world order. If Director Coats believed in this international world order, he should immediately resign and step down because he can't support the President America First policy, supporting an international world order. Make no mistake, this international world order is not acceptable to President Donald J. Trump. It's not acceptable to the United States citizen. The President is respectful of the intelligence agencies, but he won't accept their global views and their global reports, which run counter to the United States Constitution. We should be really thankful that we have a president smart enough and strong enough to stand against the powers that try to destroy our country and humanity itself.